We haven't talked about miracles in the Gospel of John for a few weeks now. So, let me remind you, or if you hadn't heard me say this before, let me tell you what we've been talking about. Miracles in this Gospel are called signs. And that is because they are meant to point us in the direction of Jesus. They are meant to help us understand who Jesus is and what Jesus stands for. And therefore, they reveal to us the character of God. And this gospel is organized around the signs. They're a big deal in the Gospel of John. It's how the whole piece of literature is organized. There's 7 signs leading up to Holy Week. And this is the last sign that Jesus performs, and it is the biggest. The very public raising of Lazarus from the dead, paired with the very public proclamation by Martha of faith in Jesus' identity as the Messiah, as the one sent from God, as the one who is to come. This miracle is a sign, because one thing that the signs are meant to do is demonstrate who Jesus is. So they're pointing to who Jesus is. They're pointing to his identity as the Son of God, as the Messiah. And this one proved once and for all for the witnesses of it that Jesus is who he says he is, that Jesus can keep the promises that he has been making to people around him, promises of healing, promises of new life. Jesus' whole ministry and every sign and every miracle that he performs in this gospel points to new and everlasting life. Abundant life here, everlasting life in the world to come. And it's new life that resurrection is a demonstration of. It's a demonstration of new life, but also in this story, we see that new life is a demonstration of the love and compassion of God. That is out of what God creates new life. That's the thing that resurrection flows from. This miracle, this sign, is the ultimate illustration of the promise that we see in John 3:16 at the beginning of this gospel. For God so loved the world that God gave the only Son, so that those who believe in him would not perish but have everlasting life. And this is a sign that Jesus can keep that promise. I said they were also a demonstration of the character of God, because getting to know Jesus, we get to know God. It's another strong theme throughout the Gospel of John. So in this story, we see Jesus' love for his friends. We see Jesus' compassion for those who have suffered loss. We see Jesus' grief, how he is weeping alongside us, out of great love and compassion, bringing new life even out of death. I actually wanted to read you, instead of the kids, you all get a story today. I wanted to read you part of the Lazarus chapter in this. It's called the Book of Belonging. I really highly recommend this, actually. It's somewhere in between a new translation and like a theology for all people, and it's almost like a storybook, but it's not specifically written for children. But it's beautiful. And the chapter on Lazarus is called Shades of Sadness. But it talks about everything that I was just saying. And I'm just gonna come into the middle of it. It said, grief comes out in many different shapes, sometimes silence, sometimes busyness. and sometimes, oftentimes, anger. If you had been here, Lazarus wouldn't have died, Martha stormed. Jesus listened as she went on, her jaws and fists clenched. But I know it's not too late. I know God will give you whatever you ask, she pleaded. Her hope was all tangled up in her anger and her sorrow. Jesus did not untangle these feelings. Lazarus will live again, he said gently. I know that, snapped Martha. Someday he will live again, but I am sad now. Jesus sat with her. How could he explain God's dream? How could he fit the words around the kingdom of already and almost, where they had only peeks and glimpses of how things should be? Lazarus will live because of me. Death is not the end for anyone who trusts me. Do you trust me? Martha looked at Jesus and felt her heart ache. Sometimes things sit side by side, hope and sorrow, promises and disappointment, sickness and praise, heaven and earth. They squish and they bump together in our hearts until we ache with the stretch of all of it. I trust you, she said, in spite of it all. You're the Messiah, the rescuer. And we know how that story ends. It ends with Jesus calling Lazarus' name and saying, come out. A final demonstration that this promise that Martha puts her faith in, it says, despite herself. And sometimes it always has to be despite ourselves. Despite the ache, despite the feelings that, what did they say, squish and bump. Despite heaven and earth sitting side by side in this kingdom of almost and not yet, but always. As I said to the children, these are stories like this, these stories of resurrection can help us to say that as well, to be open to the things that rise in our own lives and in our own world. And that is happening day by day. It is happening around us. I believe we should treat this story as a look at what is to come. Whether it's about those loved ones who have passed on, we are separated for those we love for a time, and God is here with us to weep and to hold our grief and our anger and even our blame, and do so with love and compassion. And the promise that we will get them back again, because we will be woken like Lazarus was. We will be the ones to come out of the tomb one day, to join them when Jesus calls our name. Whether it is that or whether it is the broken and hopeless looking things that we find in the world around us. Whether it is the death that we see in our systems, the sin that we see in the world, the wounds that we hold within us. God's promise of resurrection, yes, we do not see the full, but it is still happening. It is still happening within and around us. There are grave bandages that God is longing to pull off, the things that bind us, the things that bind others in the world. God is calling us to rise up, and we do, and we will. I know sometimes that's hard to see, because it is. It's hard to see. Because of that, I actually have one more thing that I want to read. And this is a poem from the Reverend M. Barclay. It's called Resurrection. Don't be fooled by the way we tell the story. Resurrection is rarely a swift occurrence. Just look to the foreign floors or the pages of history and find the pace of sacred things. Trust the hidden work of God, quietly moving beneath the fractured and fissured surfaces, tending and holding, pruning and clarifying, undoing and recreating. If all is still quiet, take heart and remain. There is so much courage and hope that resists timelines. Timelines compressed by technology and profit. There is so much power in refusing to rush or be rushed. In righteous labors of reorienting and repair. May divine unfoldings be granted all the space they need, and may the testimony of freshly bubbling things, freshly budding things, both, freshly budding things strengthen and inspire us. May the wisdom of generations be our teachers, our anchors, our comfort. Amen. Amen.